All right, how's it going, guys? We're back again with another video on the 135i update video, basically on the turbos, the eBay turbos that we got from ViV. So as we can see here, there is a big leak coming from what looks like the front turbo. Yeah, so it's leaking from the front turbo, and I'm guessing it's coming out from the charge compressed side. The rear one is good, but the front one is just shot. It's just leaking out all this oil right here. Look at all this oil right here. It's just been leaking oil, and like I said, it's from the charge side, because look at this thing is like, it's like leaking so much oil into the intake system that it's just, I think it's blown or something. So like I said, I'm gonna make a big summary of this. So what I'm gonna do right now is just take everything apart. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen a bunch of videos where they just take everything apart. So we're gonna take off this cowl right there, the cover, anything that's gonna get in the way, and make it easier for us to remove the turbos. And then once we get everything out of the way, we're gonna put this subframe brace to hold it up when we drop the subframe to get the turbos out. I have heard that you can take them out from the top, but I think it's easier for me, since I already have this, to just drop the subframe or sag it a little bit and then go from there. All right, guys, so this is where we're at. Just a quick little tear down. As you can see, we took that out. Look at all this oil in there. Terrible. In here, oil. It's normal to have a little bit of oil, but the amount of oil that came out here is ridiculous. And look at all this oil in here. It's a lot. Anyways, here's what we're at right now. We dropped the subframe. Subframe is dropped. Downpipes are off right there. Took out that motor mount bracket, which you need. I'm not going to take off the subframe just because it's a lot more extra work having to remove the control arms, the whole rack and pinion, whatever. So what I did is I basically just sagged it, and it gives me enough room to get in here and everything. I mean, yeah, it would be easier to reach all this stuff, but I think it's not that big of a deal. What else? Oh yeah, and then while I was down here, I noticed I have a coolant leak. Of course, BMW things. It's coming from that flange gasket, I believe, which I got a new one for that. So good thing we're doing this. I'm just gonna remove the outlet right now. Remove this outlet. That's what took out the intercooler. And then we should be able to start taking out the turbos. This water pump has to scoot over a little bit. But other than that, we should be good. All right, update video. We have everything pretty much out. We took out the outlets, inlets. I did decide to upgrade the inlets because these things are trash. I'm gonna make a in-depth video showing you guys these. These are really good. These from RB. But quick little summary. These basically collapse easily. Look how squishy these are. I think that's what killed my front turbo. That these just collapse and they just restrict the airflow and just starve your, well, no, suffocate your turbo because they just collapse. Compared to these have a reinforcing wire inside. So these things are hard, really hard. They're from RB. But anyways, we have everything out. Like I said, we have a coolant leak right there coming from the flange. Luckily I found it, but for the most part, there is the turbos. Just gotta take out the water pump, and I think we should start be able to take out the rest. We drained the oil obviously, but all right, another update video. Those are the turbos. They're out. As you can see, this front one was all oily for some reason. As you can see, there's like no play. There is very little play, which I mean there should be play up and down or side to side. There is very little play, but I mean it spins normal, nothing too crazy. So that is that. So I'm gonna start taking them apart, take off all the hoses. Main one is the front one that needs to be repaired, but for the most part I'm gonna do both. Might as well do both since we're both out. This is all the big mess we got here. But yeah, now we got the turbos out, rebuild them, clean them up, and put them back in. All right, so here we have the turbo. Get yourself one of these hammers after you take. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, I'm starting to rebuild the turbo. However, it does not go as planned at all. So my plan originally was to rebuild the turbos. I bought the kit from Turbo Lab America, but turns out I guess I got the wrong kit or something, because these turbos are special turbos. They use half parts from basically like a stock turbo and half parts from like a 17t or like a 19t. I did my research after I took them out basically, so I ended up just putting new turbos on, which you guys will see. But it is possible to rebuild them, but I guess you have to get like a special, like a Frankenstein kit that has both halves of a stock turbo and a upgraded turbo. It was so weird. I tried to piece it together, but everything was just off about it. Turbo Lab of America did make a video on it, which kind of did help me out. He explains how they're made with like two different type of turbo parts. I think it's like a 17T or 19T and the stock 13Ts, I think they are. I forget exactly, but basically stock turbo parts and upgraded parts. So you need a special kit for that. And I guess I just forgot. And at this point, I just thought I'm just gonna get new turbos at this point. And yeah, so I ended up getting some V4 19T turbos, which you guys will see right now. Now I go from basically trying to rebuild the turbos to just basically replacing the turbos at this point. So yeah, at the end of the day, from what it looks like on the old turbos, the 17Ts from ViV, looks like they went bad and looks like it was leaking from a piston ring. It was leaking from the piston ring that goes on the cold side, I guess, the side that compresses the air. I believe that's where it was leaking due to the piston ring. Not sure what would cause that, if either too much boost or collapsing inlets, who knows, but that's my diagnostic, I guess. That's what I believe caused them to leak so much oil. Other than that, we'll get back into the video. And alright, so here are obviously the new turbos, old turbos, 17Ts. These are ViV. I got these from ViV about a year or two ago. Quick little demonstration. Here's this one. There's that one. Obviously 17T, 19T. You can kind of notice it from the naked eye how bigger this one is, just a slight bit bigger. But the thing I really like about these, the thing I really noticed about these is that this manifold right here, like the runners are a lot more smoother and bigger, I think. Like if you look at right here, look how much bigger this one is and how smoother it is, especially right here where it kind of just bottlenecks. This one right here stays pretty. All right, here I am just testing out the wastegates. As you can see, we are at, what is that, 5? We'll do like 5.5. Wastegate's closed, barely moves. I think maybe like at 7, it should not move at all. Yeah, there we go. So I made sure to verify they're both even, which they are. Both at 7 shut completely. As you can see. There it is. Pretty cool. Yeah, we're just gonna slap them in and see where it goes. Alright, I'm putting in the studs right now. As you can see, all the studs are in. New studs, new hardware. And torque them down right now with this little torque wrench. And see where it goes. Alright guys, here we are. Turbos are in. New hardware, new everything. Everything is fine. I'm gonna show you guys an issue I had. Alright, only issue I really ran into. 2 issues actually. One being that this is a 135i, so this inlet is pretty hard to get into here because this vacuum thing is here. On the 335s it's more up, so it's not really in the way. And another thing was that this clamp that's on the turbo, this V-band clamp, this one right here, was clocked wrong, and it's a lot thicker. This thing is really thick, so I had to really play with this around, because this coolant line right here goes right against right here and to right here. This turbo was fine, no issues here. I did have to do about the same thing with I think the front one, this one right here, I had to grind off of the flange right there, as you guys can see. It's a pretty close fit, but I grinded off just a tad because it's, like I said, it's pretty thick. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Now I'm just gonna put the water pump on, tighten down the coolant lines, and then start putting everything back together. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and I primed the turbos right now. I put all the oil lines on, and once I put it on all the oil lines, I cranked over the engine a few times to prime the turbos and to see if there's any oil leaks, which there's not, so we're good to go. I'm going to connect the coolant lines, the water pump, run the water pump for a bit just to see if that leaks as well, and then go from there. All right, here we are. Added some coolant. I still haven't put everything back together just to see. I'm running the coolant pump, you know, water pump, seeing if there's any leaks I can see. So far, so good. You don't want to put everything back on together and then have it leak from somewhere and take it all apart. But looks like we're a little low on coolant. I'm trying to add a little more until it starts circulating more and more. You can see new hose right here. You can see I put this new hose here because my front turbo was leaking before and just completely ate up this hose. Here's the old one, all oily and chewed up because the oil expanded a little bit. That's okay. We replaced it, so I'm gonna let it run for a little bit longer, and then we'll go from there, start putting everything else back together, and yeah. All right, guys, so it's gonna be kind of a weird angle to get at, but basically the turbos are in, inlets there, inlets, outlets, everything is on. These outlets are a super big pain to put on, these VRSF ones, but everything is basically in. Look at that hose, brand new. Everything looking real good. Checked for leaks, checked for oil leaks, coolant leaks, nothing. Only thing I got left now is to basically put these downpipes on. But I kind of forgot to put that motor mount bracket on, so we gotta put that motor mount bracket on first, then the downpipes, and then I think we should be good to go to put the rest of the subframe up and sway bar, rack and pinion, all that stuff back up. But yeah, all right, so everything is back together. I bled the coolant system, all bled out. Leave the cap off. I primed the engine with the oil, unplugged the coils, and disconnected the fuel pump. Let it crank over like a minute or two. Checked for leaks. No leaks whatsoever. Everything's bolted back up. Triple checked, double checked everything. Everything seems to be a-okay. Everything is connected, and I'm basically ready to crank it up. I seriously do not see anything wrong at all. So we're gonna crank it up. I already flashed the custom tune base map. It's honestly gonna burn off all the oil from the turbos and stuff like that, so we gotta let that burn off. Check for leaks. Still no leaks. So far so good. It's just really smoky because all the oil